Alright everyone, so let's talk about units that you can use for the Red ESCANOR Mono Red team, and I really wanted to focus on that fourth member or the sub member because I mentioned that I would do a video like this. Now in the last video I used Red King as the example for that fourth team member because we have the Red King banner out right now, so you can summon for him, and also Red King is a great sub member for his passive slash unique because he counters the Pierce meta that is so crazy right now. As time goes on though, maybe you'll start to see less of those Pierce teams and there won't be as much of a reason to use Red King as your fourth member. Or if you just don't have Red King, that's totally fine. By no means is he the only unit that you can use as your fourth. There are so many others as well. So let's get into those. Now the main team of course being Red ESCANOR, Red Arthur, and Red Gother. And now the fourth member, of course, first up is going to be Red King, which I already used as an example. But now let's move into Hauser. Hauser is a great fourth team member as well. And one of the big reasons is actually going to be his passive slash unique, which is increases human allies' basic stats by 8%. So that's going to be attack, HP, and defense, and this is going to be a huge boost to ESCANOR. Now, ESCANOR already has his passive slash unique, which gives him 50% HP related stats, but this is only for 3 turns, so if the battle goes on for longer than 3 turns, then of course ESCANOR is all of a sudden going to become quite a bit squishier. And also the Hauser passive is not just going to be HP, it's going to be defense as well, which gives you additional survivability, and it's also going to be attack for extra damage as well. And not only does it apply to ESCANOR, but it's also going to apply to Arthur as well because he is a human. However, important note is it will not apply to Gother, who is an unknown. So great subunit that you can use though. I think it works really well because we actually just had the Hauser weapon come out for sale with gems, and a lot of people bought that weapon for gems and now might feel that the Pierce meta is going away. They might not actually have a place for Hauser as much. Well, I wanted to say that he will still have a place for sure. You can always use him as the sub member in this team, and he is still one of the, if not the best farmers actually out there in the game. So on top of his actual passive as well, if you do have somebody in your team die, then you're going to get a big chunk of damage from one of Hauser's cards as well. Hopefully you can draw into his Pierce card though, because of course his Sever card, which is crit damage, is generally speaking not going to hit as hard as his Pierce card. Even if you don't really have a lot of Pierce gear on him, you're still going to see probably a lot more damage from that. So that's another choice right there. Now, next up on the list, and I am really interested in trying this out. This is what I'm probably going to go with right off the bat when I set up my Red ESCANOR Mono Red team, and that is Red Griamore. And the main thing behind Red Griamore is once again going to be his passive slash unique. And you can see here, increases all allies' HP-related stats by 15% in PvP. So this is, first of all, it's all allies and not just humans. So what that means is that now Gother is also going to be able to get that 15% HP-related stats as well. And it's not just HP, it's HP-related stats, which is going to include lifesteal, which is huge. Now, this might be a little bit overkill. I will say that right now, because not only do we have ESCANOR's passive, which is going to give him 50% HP-related stats for 3 turns, which does include lifesteal, but now we also have Arthur's card, which is also going to give him 15% HP related stats. Now Griamore for another 15%. I mean, with a team like this, it seems hard to imagine that you could ever die. With just the sheer amount of HP and lifesteal and survivability that you're going to have, it's going to be absolutely crazy. So I don't know exactly how well this is going to work long term, but I'm definitely very curious to try it out, especially considering I already have my Griamore at level 80 because I've been using him a bit with the Pierce meta that's going on right now. And honestly, his cards are not too bad either. You can see some crazy numbers from Red Griamore. He's got his Burning Strike here, inflicts damage equal to 240%, goes up to 360, then goes up to 600%. So he does have one of those 600% attack cards. It doesn't have any kind of modifier on it like Pierce, Sever, any of that sort of stuff, but you will see some crazy damage numbers from Griamore's card right there. And he also has the Merlin type barrier as well. which is going to give you additional survivability. So creates a barrier around all allies equal to 150% of attack for 2 turns, which gets boosted to 225 and 375 for the rank 3. I believe that is the exact same card as Green Merlin. I think Green Merlin also lasts for 2 turns, so you've got a nice set of cards, as well as this incredibly good passive unique. So Red Grimoire, definitely a contender for that 4th slot. So alright, next up on the list here is going to be Green Guild Thunder. Now, Green Guild Thunder is definitely an option. He is very good for that 4th slot for many different PvP teams because of this right here. And again, it is his passive unique. Increases all allies' defense-related stats by 30% in PvP. And really importantly, defense-related stats is very important compared to just regular defense because it's also going to include resistance, crit resistance, and crit defense. All very important stats for taking less damage. So the difference between just increases your defense versus defense-related stats is absolutely huge, and all those stats are very important when it comes to mitigating your damage. So having that as an added boost is going to increase your survivability by a whole lot. Now, he also does have some decent cards as well. His first card here, probably not really the card that you're really looking for, that you're probably going to be using in the battle very much if you do draw into him, because you had another unit die. But his next card here increases the attack of all allies by 30%, 40%, and 60% for 2 turns. So you have another buff type card. Keep in mind, it might be a little bit awkward of a situation if you draw into, you know, tons of Guild Thunder's attack cards while also having a bunch of buff cards from Arthur. But this is also going to give ESCANOR here another one of his buffs for the Amplify. So you've got that as well as his very, very good passive unique for more survivability. All these options for survivability are great, but now let's actually talk about an option here for just more raw damage, and that is Red Jericho. Now, Red Jericho herself probably not really going to be taking advantage of her actual cards a whole lot. It's really mostly just about her passive. And the reason why you might want to consider Red Jericho is maybe you don't have some of these other units that I've talked about, or if you now really want to lean on the side of the scale that is more geared towards damage rather than just the defensive stuff, because everything that I've really talked about so far has all been defenses, right? Guild Thunder's defense-related stats. Grimoire's HP-related stats. Hauser is basic stats, which does have a little bit of offense right there, but then going back to King, who is Pierce Rate Reduction, which is also going to be more defensive. And Jericho is going to give you that offensive capability there. Increases strength, allies, attributes, or attack-related attributes by 10%. And this is not just going to include attack, it's also going to include Pierce Rate, crit chance, and crit damage. So again, 4 very, very important additional stats there that are going to be absolutely huge for just doing more damage. And of course, this is going to be huge for ESCANOR's Amplify card as well. So if you feel like, you know, I'll have to actually see here. Maybe with Grimoire, this might be a little bit too much on the defenses with the, what would that be, 80% HP-related stats with Grimoire, Arthur, and now Red ESCANOR's passive for that 50%. That's 50, 15, and 15, right? That's 80%. That might be a little bit overkill. So, you know, I might try out Red Jericho here and go with the attack-related stats if I need a bit more damage. So you can see here that the rating, though, is really mostly just for her passive. Not really going to be using the cards a whole lot there, but definitely a viable option for sure. And, of course, have to say it, have to go there because he's actually a pretty decent choice. I'm not going to lie. This isn't even a meme or anything, but Tweegod might be a reasonable choice for his passive as well. He is a rare, so not even an SR. Hopefully, if you do want to use him as a choice here, you have the metals and the resources to get him up to 80 for PvP. You're probably going to want him at 80 for PvP, of course. And it's really, again, just for the actual passive here. Increases strength, attribute, allies, HP by 30%. Now, you are using mono red. Same with Jericho's card. It's only strength allies, but your main team is ESCANOR, Arthur, and Gother. So all red units, you get the maximum benefit from a passive like this. And it's 30%, but it's not going to give you the lifesteal and regeneration that the HP-related stats gives you. But now instead of just 15%, it's 30%, so that's obviously a big boost right there. Tons of additional survivability and just a reasonable choice. And Twi'gad also has that 600% card here, just like Griamore, right? You got the 240, 360, 600. Twi'gad also has the 240, 360, and 600 on one enemy card, but he's going to have lower base stats, just not as good and comparable to, you know, starting grade SR and SSRs, of course. And he also has an AoE card as well, 150, 225, 375, no extra modifiers or anything like that. A little bit of extra damage if you do need it, but probably if you do draw into having to use Twi'gad, you are mostly just going to be relying on his passive and probably unlikely that you're going to be using his cards. Maybe if you get, you know, one of these single target cards to rank 2 or rank 3 for the insane amount of damage, but not a meme, actually a reasonable choice there. So lots of options, and I did want to say as well at the end of this video, these are not the only options. There are still many more choices that you can use as well. So, you know, maybe a part 2, maybe this should give you guys enough to work with to see what kind of team to really build up with Red ESCANOR, but I wanted to put this video out there so that you guys have the information. So hopefully you enjoyed, and if you did and you want more videos like this in the future, consider subscribing to the channel. Feel free to leave a quick like as well. It means more than you can imagine, so thank you so much to all of you who decide to do that. And more Grand Cross Global videos should be popping up on the screen right about now, or in the suggested videos to right or below. More videos, guides, tutorials, all that fun stuff like this, feel free to check them out. But if not, until next time, take care everyone, and this is Salt of the Salty Guild, signing out.